Gman.
Here we are.
So many people, every time I go live, they're like, oh, you and Gman should be doing something. You and Gman should be doing something. For all of you people, here we are. Me and Gman are about to talk boxing. You're now based in London.
Now based in London.
What's it like for you?
It's been fun, man. I like it over here. I get to go to more shows.
Yeah.
Or at least I will be.
Yeah, and look, there's going to be loads of shows in 2025, right? Especially now, I think Frank's going to move to the Zone in April. We know he's going to go big. He's going to have plenty of shows. Eddie's got his shows. Channel 5 still doing their shows.
Still doing
They've
Brighton.
got a show coming up, I think. Harlem Eubank.
In Brighton.
In Brighton. Yeah, I've had a few family members reach out to me and ask for tickets. So for all of those family members, I will sort the tickets out. All right, let's talk boxing. Loads to talk about, so let's get straight into it. Benavidez versus Morrell.
Oh, yes.
It is in a couple of days. We're filming this on Thursday evening. I think, in terms of fights that have been announced for 2025, obviously, look, we've got so many special ones to get to. We'll talk about some of those. But I think in terms of fights announced, this is the fight I'm most excited about and intrigues me the most.
So am I. There's so much. Think of it. Benavidez is 28, Morrell's 27.
Ooh.
They're both young. They're both in their primes. They're both undefeated. They can both punch. Morrell, I think, is the bigger puncher. Man, it's going to be epic.
Would it have been different, your thoughts and opinions on this, if this was at 168? Because they were both, Morrell was chasing Benavidez at 168 whilst Benavidez was chasing Canelo. They've now both gone to 175. I think Morrell's chased Benavidez to 175, by the way. Who has the advantage at 168? Who has the advantage at 175?
That's a good question. I think at 168, Morrell wins. At 168 pounds, Morrell wins.
Yeah.
And I think Dave Benavidez knew that. I think that when he went to 175, fought Vodcek, didn't look amazing, but then I think Morrell fought Hot Rod.
Yeah.
And he really didn't look good. For Benavidez, it's like, yeah, he's not meant. I'm meant to be here. He's not. Let's do it. Because it seemed like Benavidez was going down. He wanted to go down the Canelo Road. Not even a mention of Morrell, Benavidez. And now it's like, I think Benavidez was just like, right, can't get Canelo. I don't care.
It's interesting you say that. I agree with you because there seemed to be no talk about Morrell going to 175.
None.
Like he was making 168. Yes, it was tight, but it's going to be tight for anyone. It's tight for all of them. It's probably still tight for Canelo.
Yeah.
And he's a small 168. Whereas Benavidez, it was certainly tight. Whereas he looks like a 175 guy. You see the weigh-in with Vosdick. Benavidez is 175. I mean, Benavidez is bigger than Bivol. I've been around Benavidez. I've been around Bivol. Benavidez walks around bigger than Bivol. So he is a 175 pounder that was killing himself to 168. I can't imagine what he's going to weigh in on fight night.
Man.
Honestly, he's going to be obviously over 200 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Well over 200 pounds.
It's like Zerdo when he was at 175.
They're enormous. They're enormous. I just feel like him coming in heavy could actually benefit Morrell because I think Morrell's got better feet. But this might be a case of Morrell hit and not get hit because Benavidez is going to come on strong. And can Morrell stand in there and trade with him?
That's the problem. I don't know if he can. He's got the punching power. He is when Morrell smells blood, he is actually scary. Some of the things he's done to guys in there when he smelled blood. But the problem is, at 175, does he have that power? Yeah. I mean, you see Hot Rod fought Beterbiev a couple of years ago, and Beterbiev, like a knife goes through hot butter. And that fight was competitive.
Yeah,
their fight against Morrell against Hot Rod, it was like, oh God, what's going on here?
Yeah,
and he's going in there with Benavidez. Benavidez is going to be coming at him 100 mile an hour like a freight train.
Yeah,
and if he can't put a dent in Benavidez, if he can't get out of the way, it's going to be a short and painful night.
Honestly, if he, and I saw this with Caleb Plant, I saw this with other fighters who have fought Benavidez, Demetrius Andrade.
The one thing as well with Benavidez, if you hit him, right, he just seems to say,
no,
okay.
If you hit him and it doesn't hurt,
yeah,
you've got a big problem. And that's what I was going to refer to. Like Andrade hit him clean. For 4 rounds, Andre's trying to kill him. And not a dent.
How would that feel as the fighter doing it? You're like, holy what do I do here?
It must be demoralized, especially when you know you sat down on your shot and you've really given it some way. Yeah. And the guy's just not moving or budging. And I guess we're going to find out. If Morrell lands something clean early and Benavidez doesn't take a couple of steps back, then it's a long... Not that Morrell can't still outbox, but it's a long 12 rounds. It's a very, very long 12 rounds.
I think Morrell is the bigger puncher of the two.
Do you really?
I think he's the bigger puncher of the two.
The bigger one-punch puncher.
The bigger one-punch puncher.
Yeah.
I think, like, in terms of, combination punching, yeah, that's Benavidez. But in terms of just the biggest puncher I think Benavidez has been in there with, I think it's Morrell. But the problem is, Benavidez has only been down once in his career. And that was when he was a lot younger, and it was more a kind of stumble. He has a chin on him.
Yeah.
So he could be in there with a big puncher, but...
And now that he's gone up in weight as well, your ability to absorb shots
Exactly.
helps when you put a bit extra weight on. So who's favourite for you?
Benavidez, definitely.
Okay, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Benavidez, definitely.
Okay, interesting. Do you think the winner, and I think we both think it will be Benavidez, I agree, I think Benavidez wins. Do you think the winner fights the winner of Beterbiev-Bivol or...
Well, they'll be mandatory, so you would think that. But we kind of know if Beterbiev beats Dimitri Bivol, man, could you imagine him against Benavidez?
Jeez.
But if he loses to Bivol, it's got to be a trilogy, hasn't it?
Yeah, has to be, especially the manner of the defeat. No one's knocking out Beterbiev, so if Bivol beats him, it's going to be on points. But I've always felt that if Beterbiev does win, as much as I want to see Beterbiev Benavidez or Beterbiev Morrell or anyone, to be honest, I spoke to Beterbiev prior to the first Bivol fight, and I said, look, cruiserweight? And he was like, yeah, why not? So he really has ideas of, in his last 12 months, because remember, he's 40, going to be 41, I think. In his last 12 months, or sorry, he's 40 now, I think he's probably thinking, I just want fun fights.
Yeah.
I want fights that make me money. And I think he looks at Zerdo, maybe not Opataya, because Opataya is a bit bigger, but I think he looks at Zerdo and thinks, you're a super middleweight. You're not the biggest cruiserweight. In fact, I might walk around bigger than you.
Exactly.
So I think he's probably looking at Zerdo and thinking, I can make that fight, Golden Boy, Riyadh season. There's opportunities there. Moving away from Benavidez slightly, Benavidez sat down with Andre Ward. I say moving away because it kind of goes on to Canelo. But Benavidez sat down with Andre Ward for the All the Smoke podcast. Those guys are doing fantastic work. And he said that he was offered, I think, $5 million.
$5 million.
To fight Canelo. I think it was prior to the Munguia fight. And he took it.
Yeah.
And then he heard nothing from him.
I reckon that was Canelo's team. Because, Canelo, obviously, when fighters are avoiding a fighter, like Canelo was, I think...
No, he is avoiding Benavidez.
I think they'll say, right, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to offer him an amount. He's not going to take it. And at least I can save face and say, would you see that? I offered him. He didn't take it. Oh, he took it? Don't say anything. That's 100%. All that was.
100%. It was almost a case of, look, I offered him a lowball amount, and he knows it's lowball. $5 million for Canelo's lowball. And I think he's thinking Benavidez would have said no, and then the script writers can say Benavidez turned down the opportunity because it would be fact.
Yeah.
Even if it was $1 million, even if it was $1, you turned down the opportunity. But Benavidez said yes. All of a sudden, they kind of move to Munguia. We're never going to see Benavidez Canelo.
We're never going to see it.
Happen.
It's just, you can just stick a fork in that one.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
But man, what a fight that would have been.
Yeah, and I haven't watched Benavidez a lot. We talk about Benavidez has a chin. I mean, no one's got a better chin than Canelo. I mean, Golovkin was the guy, but now that's passed to Canelo. No one's got a better chin than Canelo. No. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Benavidez beats Canelo.
And that's why it's frustrating
that's
that
why
we never got the fight.
Yeah.
Because you look at it and you think, well, Canelo won't be able to miss Benavidez. He loves it when opponents come at him. And you're thinking, Canelo's probably forgotten more about boxing than Benavidez. So why don't you make the fight?
Yeah.
And it's such a big fight. It's such a massive fight.
Enormous. It's enormous, honestly. And it's clearly a duck on Canelo's part.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because you've given the opportunity to Belanga. You've given the opportunity to Munguia. And the Munguia is the one, right? Because Canelo always was the guy that used to preach about, I don't want to fight fellow Mexicans. And I kind of understood that to an extent. Yeah. Well, you fought Munguia. Munguia is way more Mexican than Benavidez.
Oh, yeah.
And Munguia is full.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not Mexican-American, full Mexican. So that's a shame. All right, so that's Benavidez part for now. Let's continue the Canelo conversation. Canelo Crawford.
Oh, mate.
My dude.
Canelo Crawford.
Dude.
It's... What? Oh, man. That is not... That can happen in Vegas, fair enough. It cannot happen in a normal arena.
Nah.
It has to be a stadium fight. That is too big.
Yeah.
You look at the MGM, you look at the T-Mobile, they are synonymous with just big events. This is bigger than those.
Yeah.
This is bigger than all them.
This is as big... This is the fight to determine, and I mean, I know people are gonna in the comment section gonna say Inoue Usyk, but this is almost to determine who is the fighter of this generation.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's just so big. Any issues whatsoever before we kind of dive into it? Will it happen? Won't it happen? Any issues whatsoever with Crawford jumping up 2 weight classes?
A little bit. Like, I mean, it's not, saying that, right? You made a very, very good point in your video. We could say, oh, Crawford's last fight was at 154. He's going up 2 weight divisions. When Alexander Usyk beat a guy who was, 6 inches taller than him and outweighed him by 50 pounds.
Yeah.
You kind of look at that and you think, well, is this really the worst?
I'm happy you referenced it because I actually forgot I said that. But you're right. I mean, we're talking sort of pound for pound greats here.
Exactly.
Alexander Usyk didn't fight a scrub. He fought a bona fide great heavyweight in Tyson Fury and gave him 50 pounds and still got the job done. So when people talk about Crawford going up in weight, and look, Canelo's a better boxer, I guess, than Fury, but still, I mean, Alexander Usyk went up against a giant that could fight and move. So Crawford going up 14 pounds. I mean, Canelo's not a 168 guy either when you see him. I mean, he's stout and thick now, so he's kind of in that division. But really and truly, when I look at his frame, he should be fighting at 160.
And if you think about it like this, right, this is crucial. Crawford's mentioned that that's what he's really staying in boxing for. So he's going to have the benefit of not having to worry about, oh, if I put too much weight on, how am I going to get back down if I win or lose? He's thinking probably, well, this is my last fight.
So there's no Roy Jones going to heavyweight and coming back down.
If you think about it like that, because sometimes you look at a fight and you think, well, they put on that much weight because they know that they go, he doesn't have to worry.
Wait, so you think, regardless of whether or not Crawford wins or lose, this could be Crawford's last fight? This is it?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And if that's the case, then you're thinking, if I normally weigh 170, I'm going to weigh 180.
You know the thing for people that always jump up in weights, when you don't have to hit a weight, I always wonder why you put on too much weight. Like if I'm Crawford, I come in at 160. Like, I don't need to be 168. I just come in to the weight that I feel perfect at. Whether it's movement, he's not going to out-strength Canelo. I know Crawford likes to wrestle and he's strong. You're not out-strengthing Canelo. What you can do is be better fleet footage. You can be better movement. You can land your punches, get in and out of the pocket. So I think Crawford at 160 does that better than a Crawford that tries to enter the ring near enough 180.
That's a good point. He is one of the most fluid fighters you'll ever see. A lot of fighters have quicker foot speed than Canelo, but he will have quicker foot speed. And that's a very, very good point.
Faster
if you
hands.
try faster hands, longer reach, taller, if you pack on too much weight, then you maybe bring Canelo back into it with that, because you're going to slow yourself down.
Pack on weight that you're not used to carrying. It's all well and good. That this jump for Crawford's a quick and fast and big jump. I mean, Madrimov, it wasn't like you had 4 fights at 154. No. So you got used to carrying around the extra weight. You've gone from 147 to 154 to 168 immediately. I say come in at 160, 161 and say, let's have it.
Let's have it. Use your advantage. Bit like what Usyk did. Use your advantages. All right, I'm freakishly lighter than you, but I'm faster. I'm more mobile. I've better stamina. Canelo fights in bursts. Crawford
Usyk's
won't be able to.
Best example. What an example you gave there, because Usyk, I'm fascinated by the fact that he always weighs in at 222 pounds.
It's crazy.
Honestly, I think that shows how much of a genius he is. He treats the heavyweight class like a weight class. Yeah. And it's not 223, it's not 224, it's 222 all the time. Apart from, I think, his first fight with Witherspoon.
He was in like the teens.
Apart from that, he's trying to gauge what is the best weight for him. And I think Crawford should look at that. Gauge what the best weight is for you, and you don't have to hit 168. To be a super middleweight, all you have to do is weigh over 160.
Exactly.
Coming at 161. Do you think it happens?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I had like a bit of reservations last year. Canelo and Turkey seemed to be, one was saying the other. That Ring Magazine Award show, I suspect, there was a lot of kind words said. Kind words.
Can you imagine the numbers being thrown around behind the scenes? Like, because they gave me a list of people that are going to come, and Canelo's name was on the list, and I was like, Canelo ain't coming to this. Like, what are you talking about? Don't get me wrong, the rest of the list was stacked. But I was like, as soon as I saw Canelo, I was like, he's fighting Crawford. Yeah. Like, it just immediately, I said, he's fighting Crawford. Yeah, why is he here?
You were like, that he's not coming there just for a laugh. He's coming there to talk business. And just, well, if we get this fight, which I think we will, it's not just going to be Canelo Crawford. Turkey doesn't just do a big main event. No. So you let that sink in. This is going to be...
especially if, we're going to chuck things out at people. This might be true or not. But let's just say it's the Raiders Stadium, which I believe is around 80,000. I mean, he's going to want to land in America, Turkey, and put on the best fight card we've ever seen. He's going to want to say, okay, take this. You think you've seen big fight cards before with Don King and Bob Arum and Oscar, etc., etc. Have this. And I think it's going to be, honestly, frightening if that
He's going to put every American promoter over the last 50 years to shame in that one show. Yeah. In that one show.
It's going to be crazy. Not the biggest question, I think, about this is, Canelo always gives us September, May. Yeah. Cinco de Mayo, he always fights on that May Day. I think the only time he didn't do it was in the lead up to his fight against Golovkin 2, because obviously the failed drugs test.
Happened, yeah.
Whereas Crawford's been a part-time boxer. Crawford at best is giving you one fight a year. That's all he's done for the last 5 years, Crawford. So I feel like Crawford could sit it out, because that's what Crawford does. I don't like it, but Crawford could do it. Does Canelo leave that May date Does he sit it out and wait for Crawford, or does he fight someone in May?
If I was Turkey, I would say sit it out. Even if you wanted to fight, you mentioned an Avni Yildirim type.
Yeah.
I would say, okay, fine, but Canelo, you've had hand trouble in the past. Injuries can happen. You don't know what could happen. You know, you go first round or 12th round of a 12-round fight. You go in awkwardly, cut. That needs 6 months to heal. Fight push back 6 months. Yeah. Too much can happen.
The only reason why I think both might fight, so I'm almost sort of playing devil's advocate to what I said, is because with Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, rather than matching them up straight away, he's for some reason giving them, I wouldn't even say warm-ups, because Ramirez and Broly Romero are not warm-ups. We could basically put the same argument to that. Like, why do that? Why risk it? Just fight each other. But they're having almost like semi-finals, then a final scheduled for the opening of Riyadh season in October. So I do think they might fight. I do think both. I feel like Crawford, there's something about me that feels like Crawford might want to test the waters and see what 160 or 168 looks like and feels like.
Yeah, that'd be a good shout. Doesn't have to be anyone good. Like Ryan and Devin aren't fighting anyone particularly special. It doesn't have to be anyone good, but just to get a gauge.
Yeah.
I think that's what they might do. I think Turkey, he's put on risky fights in the past with other fights on the horizon. Wilder, Joseph Parker, exactly. And I think he might have learned his lesson from that. If I'm dead set on a fight and I want it, if they want to go out beforehand, fair enough, but let's bring the levels down. We're not taking any risks.
Yeah. I was going to say biggest fight of 2025, obviously. I'm trying to think of a fight bigger in the last decade. I mean, Fury Usyk felt enormous. Being there, like when the referee went ding ding, that felt just like this ain't going to happen. But Crawford, Canelo, you know what it is about Crawford? Like Fury Usyk, there was always a trajectory.
Yeah.
You always felt like, okay, this is somehow going to happen. There was no big roadblocks. With Crawford and Canelo, because of the PBC thing, because of the weight, because of Crawford not even aligning or even talking to Turkey, he felt like it was never going to happen. The fact that it could happen now, it's the biggest fight in a decade. It's the biggest fight in a decade.
And the build up to that fight, again, it's going to be similar to Fury Usyk, the first fight. If we see them in the ring, when that first bell goes,
oh my God,
it's going to be just, man.
Can you imagine like who's going to be ringside? Like, can you imagine with the cost of the ringside seats? You're going to have like bloody LeBron James at ringside there sitting next to Taylor Swift or something. It's going to be like everyone. It's going to be the most hottest ticket in town. And look, I really hope it happens. I don't have any reservations now. I feel like it will.
I feel like it will too.
I feel like it will happen.
I feel like it's just inevitable that we're going to get. And can you imagine the announcement, the kickoff show, the trailer?
Oh my Lord, dude, you're getting me excited now. This is insane. Canelo's CV, if it has Crawford on it, win or lose, is frightening. Honestly, it's Manny Pacquiao-esque. Some might say it eclipses Floyd's. I don't know, but just in terms of names on it, I know some people, like we always try to do now. We always try to he fought him when he was this, and just have the fights.
Yeah.
No matter what, just have the fights. Canelo's CV in terms of names for the last decade is untouchable.
It's crazy. I mean, you look at that, and with the exception of the odd run out, and they are odd once every couple of years, it's just. You look at it, this is a guy who cleared 168 in less than a year. Yeah. Won his first belt December 20, and November 21, he's already undisputed.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about that run? Because Americans, it's weird, Americans so split. It's maybe racial splits. I don't know, I've noticed it online. But we Brits, we gave Billy a little bit of a chance. And some thought Callum was going to do some damage. He destroyed both of them. So it wasn't scrubs. Billy Joe was unbeaten. Callum Smith was unbeaten. Caleb Plant was unbeaten, and he wiped them all. It's not the worst run in the world, and I don't even mind beating up young kids that are unbeaten like Munguia and Belanga. Yeah, I don't mind that because not a lot of veterans fight young kids that are upcoming, so he's knocked those off as well. Crawford's a different kettle of fish, but
Crawford it's two legends.
Yeah, it's
two legends going at it. One still has his O. One has the resume most fighters can only dream of. It's
yeah, and one is arguably top 2 pound for pound. I know the Inoue Usyk discussion, but worst number 3, and one I think is 5, 6. I mean, Canelo seemed to have slipped down without losing.
It's mad, isn't it?
It's mad. Like, well, why is Canelo? Is it because of the Benavidez thing? Like for me, it's Usyk. For me, Usyk, Crawford, Inoue, Beterbiev. I could say Bam, Canelo, but I really should say Canelo before Bam because Canelo's done a bit more. But Canelo's no worse than 6 or 7.
At the very worst.
At the very worst.
Very, very worst.
So you got 6 versus 1 or 2.
I know, man. We say, oh, Canelo was slowed down. When do you ever hear of a fighter slowing down and we're still saying at worst he's maybe 7th in the pound for pound list?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And again, if I examine that pound for pound list, if I really examine it, Canelo will be higher.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Canelo's achievements are better than Bam's. But we just like to put new people up there for some reason. What have you made? Me and you haven't spoke for a while about all these Riyadh season events and now Ring Magazine stuff. What have you made of just Riyadh season? Like,
it has
how
been,
crazy has it been for you watching?
It has just been, like, you got to bear in mind, man, we went through a very kind of barren stage in boxing where if we got maybe one really good card a year and that might be 2 good fights on the card, we're looking at this year already and every month there's a big show.
Yeah.
And it's not even that there's a big show. If you had said, imagine me and you did our first ever show together 5 years ago. If someone said 2020, February 22nd show would actually happen, me and you would both look at that person and say, get out of here. What are you talking about?
That's the best way to put it. If someone said to me, okay, dude, in a couple of years' time, this is the fight card you're going to see for February 22nd. I said, okay, lock him up now. He's obviously not been watching what Eddie and Frank have been putting on for the last couple of years. They can maybe give you the main event, maybe the co. You ain't getting that rest. You're getting 6-8 rounders, and we don't even know who those people are. You know, the first event, I think, was Fury and Ngannou.
Fury and Ngannou,
right? October 2023, I think. There's been 8 since then.
And they've all been epic.
8 Super Bowl, WrestleMania type events since then. And I was hoping for maybe 2 a year.
Oh, yeah.
We've had like 4 or 5 a year. And this year, I think there's going to be several.
It seemed like that. It seemed like these were like really special occasion cards.
Yeah.
And Turkey has just been like, no, they're not. They're special, but they're not on occasions. We're going to do them as regularly as we can. Yeah. And honestly, like as I said, Zhilei Zhang versus Aji Kabayel, that's going to be open in the card, apparently. Just let that sink in. Zhilei Zhang versus Kabayel opening a pay-per-view card. And you're thinking, what the hell? That's crazy, just a sign of how good that show is.
Honestly, it's crazy. It's like there's a toss-up between that opening and Boatsy Smith. Imagine Boatsy Smith walking first at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, that's an O2 headline.
Of course, that's an O2 headline act. Or maybe like when AJ was in his prime, that's a co-main event on an AJ card.
Yeah.
That's literally the height of that. And you're having a toss-up between that or Zhang, which one's going to open the show. Yeah.
Can I ask you an honest question? And be honest with me as well. Don't hurt my feelings. It's fine. The atmosphere. Because I'm there. And I work with Simon Jordan at TalkSport, and I think Carl Froch all of a sudden has done a bit of a U-turn on this, but we'll get to that. But they always used to moan about the atmosphere. When I'm there, I'm almost quite respectful of different atmospheres, because I watch Inoue fights. Maybe they don't, and I'm like, Inoue's fights are not crazy atmospheres.
No.
Some people just patiently and silently watch fights and applaud. What do you make of the atmosphere at some of these?
It's a weird one. So I always say to people when they ask me, I would say, I'm normally doing a watch along for the main event, the co-main. So I'm not really seeing what the atmosphere is like because I have the volume muted. But when I'm watching the undercard, I don't care. I'm listening. I'm watching it and I'm just like, and people are saying, oh yeah, but and it's like, but I'm only noticing it because you're telling me.
Why are people trying to find something? Like
it's so weird.
Obviously, look, a great atmosphere. Like we grew up Ricky Hatton time.
Oh, yeah.
So you had atmospheres. And AJ came along and Carl. We've had great atmospheres. But I've watched shows where I don't even think of the atmosphere. I just want to care about what's going on in the ring. All of a sudden, there's this big want to find something. And I'm like, dude, we're getting the fights that we dreamt about.
When I see, like a good example would be when I was watching Jarrell Miller, Daniel Dubois on that Day of Reckoning, right? I watched that with the sound on and I was just engrossed in that fight. I couldn't have cared less. Oh, but no one's cheering. I'm like, oh, I haven't even noticed that. I'm just watching this fight. So that's the thing. And it's like, and I always say to people, like, well, hang on a minute. You're saying the atmosphere, I'm not noticing it, but you're saying the atmosphere. Have you seen these cards?
Yeah.
Would you rather have a big atmosphere and maybe one of those fights is a main event and then the rest of them maybe not happening at all?
Yeah.
It's like, mate, I don't mind the atmosphere. I think it's A-okay. And look at the fights. I'm just focusing on the fights.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, again, comparing it to some of the Brits, some of the British cards, yeah, the atmosphere can be a bit quiet. It's certainly not going to be a bloody Conlon Lee Wood. It's not going to be that. I granted, it's not going to be Serrano Taylor. It's not going to be that. But it's getting better. It's getting better. I thought Fury Usyk atmosphere 1 and 2 was fantastic. Fury brings a crowd that no other can bring. They travel to Saudi Arabia in numbers. I haven't seen anything like it before. And they're traveling 4 days before Christmas. Fury's fan base is crazy. Honestly, it's very similar to Josh Warrington. Just like they're almost like football fans. They're like football fans. So well done to Fury. and getting that fan base. Ring magazine cards now are the thing for Riyadh season events that are not in Riyadh. Obviously, the first one is Conor Benn, Chris Eubank. Oh, sorry, let me get correct. Chris Eubank,
Conor Benn.
Chris Eubank will get upset with that. Happy it's happening 2.5 years after it's supposed to have happened.
It's a bit of a weird one. When it was first announced in the O2 2 years ago, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And then all that came, and it just kind of dropped off a little bit for me.
Agreed.
But since when they announced it, I was kind of like, okay. I've heard a few people mention it. I've seen the undercard get mentioned in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It is starting to come a little bit more to life now.
Yeah.
It is.
You know, I've realised, one thing that's very clear to me is that we hardcore boxers, or boxing fans, are in the minority.
Oh, yeah.
And I've noticed this about Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. The fight was big before, and it was only going to do the O2 Arena, 22,000. All of a sudden, although we're angry with it, I say we, like because of the issues with it, it's now trebled in size, and it's going to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which means casuals run the show.
Oh, yeah.
Casual boxing fans are the ones that are going to put the bums on seats here. The hardcore boxing fans that are saying it's rubbish and it shouldn't be on, no one cares.
Listen, I walked into, when that fight was announced, and it was the week of the press conference for the February 22nd show, I walked into the office on the Friday, and I could hear the colleagues who never mention a word about boxing. They'll mention Love Island, they'll mention this, that, and the other, and they were like, Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn, do you remember their dads? It's like, yeah.
Dude,
I was like,
I've
they've
had
sold
so
it.
many
They've
people
sold it.
in my Instagram asking for tickets.
Once I heard that, I was like,
okay, yeah, they know exactly what they're doing. The fight will take place at 160. The last fight was going to be at 157. Chris was going to try and kill himself to make 157. He could have 2.5 years ago. Obviously, since then, he's struggling at the weight. I can clearly see it.
Yeah.
He's had a defeat. He's avenged the defeat. He's 2.5 years older, whereas Conor Benn is 2.5 years bigger. Right? It's funny, this Conor Benn, look, Conor's my guy, but Conor saying I'm jumping 2 weight classes, you're not, dude. You're not fought 147 for 2.5 years. The last 2 fights have been 154. So stop saying you're a welterweight going up. You're you know what I mean? You're a junior middleweight jumping up 1 weight class.
It's unlikely he's ever going to fight at welterweight again.
Never.
I'd be very surprised.
Never. I know he said, I'll go down and fight Barrios. Nah. I mean, he should try and make it because the junior middle was a massive. Man, and Conor Benn's got a perfect frame for the welterweight division. But the guys above him, like I saw Conor Benn with Teofimo Lopez, they're the same size. Tia's a 140 guy.
Yeah.
I think Conor looked at him up and down like, how are you making 140? So if I'm Conor, I try and make 147, but I doubt it. Who's favourite?
I've got Eubank. Okay. I do. I edged him in the first fight, and I'm edging him in this one. The only thing is, some are saying there is, some are saying there isn't with the rehydration. That's a kind of a little bit of a grey area, but I still think Eubank, he's struggling at the weight 100%. But if he does this properly, Conor Benn, Eddie Hearn said that, Conor Benn didn't knock out those last 2 guys because they were middleweights. Chris Eubank Jr. is a big middleweight. Yeah,
he's a big middleweight. It's a big middleweight. Removing what happened against Liam Smith, he's always been a middleweight that can take a punch.
Exactly.
In fact, he's always been a super middleweight that can take a punch. I mean, George Groves hit him with everything, and not many super middleweights hit harder than George Groves. I don't know why I'm sort of leaning to Conor. I'm not quite sure. Before I give you my reason, actually, I'm not a fan of the rehydration cap thing.
No.
Like, if you're calling someone out, so Chris has not called out Conor. Chris has never called out Conor in the last couple of years. It's been Conor calling out Chris, and Eddie's kind of jumped on it as well. If you're calling me and you want to come to my weight class, don't then come and then put in regulations and stipulations. Just come.
Exactly.
You want to come up, come up. I remember when Rigondeaux was calling out Loma many moons ago. And Rigondeaux was undersized, but he went up.
Yeah.
He lost, but he went up. You can't call someone up and then, but let's do this, let's do that. So I'm not a fan of the 170 thing. I'm not a fan of it at all because you're almost giving Chris a built-in excuse if he loses. Like they tried to kill me at the weight. I can't make the weight, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. And if Conor does win, well, you've kind of like dampened that win because you can say, I beat a middleweight. Yeah, but you put a rehydration clause in there. Yes. You wanted this fight. He agreed to it and you slapped that on it and then you won. But if that wasn't there, what would have happened?
That's why I love and will always love, no matter how his career petered out and I wanted him to do more, Kell Brook's chase for Golovkin is still the ballsiest thing I've ever seen in the history of this sport. Like how you decided to go up and fight him. And again, no asking Golovkin to not weigh in at this. No. I'm coming. Let's go.
It was ballsy.
It was stupid.
Yeah, I was going to say at the same time, it was not a good idea.
You were the IBF welterweight champion, unbeaten, and all of a sudden you can't get a fight. Okay, who's available? Golovkin, I'll fight him. It's crazy. It's crazy. But look, hope it happens. I like a couple of the undercard fights as well. Absolutely love Chev Clark, Vidal Riley.
Oh, man.
Didn't expect it. Came from nowhere.
I was looking forward to the Chamberlain fight.
Yeah.
But once Chamberlain pulled out with that shoulder injury and they made this, I was like, no disrespect to Chamberlain, but I was like, yes.
This is an upgrade.
This is a big upgrade. This is a hell of a fight.
Yeah.
Man, Chev Clark has not got time on his side.
Yeah.
So he cannot afford. He's going to be fighting like a man whose career's in the line.
Yeah.
He will.
Yeah.
And he's he is a unit at cruiserweight.
It's kind of bull versus matador, this is. Chev Clark the bull. And Vidal Riley, definitely the matador. I mean, he can crack Vidal, but Chev's strong.
He's a big, strong guy.
I mean, that last fight, my kind of respect for him has gone up a bit because Mascara in that last fight who put him down, very big cruiserweight, by the way. It looked like a heavyweight coming down. But the fact that Chev sort of regrouped and found something, and in the end, yes, I thought he lost, but it was close. I think you take a lot from a defeat as well as a win, and I think he can take a lot from that defeat.
Oh, he definitely can. And I think he'll look at someone like Vidal Riley and think, well, look, you fought scared. You fought scared against Michael Lawal.
Yeah, good
look what I did.
Yeah.
Look what I did to a guy. Yeah, I lost, but look what I did. Look what I had to come through. And I lost. A lot of people think I won.
Yeah, it's true. Anthony Yarde is on that card. You've done so many videos about Anthony Yarde. I mean, I'm sure you've got his number or something because you've done so many videos. He fights Lyndon Arthur, and it's a fight, let's put it, no one of us asked for. Like, it's a trilogy that no one was screaming for. The first fight kind of had so many asterisks around it. It was COVID. If I remember quite correct, Yarde had lost a couple of family members in the lead up to it. His mind wasn't in the right place. I'm not giving him excuses. This is just facts. And then the second fight, he just dismantled Lyndon Arthur.
Yeah,
all of a sudden, they kind of go again.
Yeah, it's random. And listen, I've said this for the longest about Anthony Yarde. He is, on his day, one of the most talented fighters in Britain.
Agreed.
He is so talented. But mate, he's in his mid-30s now. He's literally, apart from his 2 world title fights, which he gave good account of himself, he still lost them.
Yeah.
And he has literally done nothing. And his best win is probably Lyndon Arthur. And he's going to fight him again.
Yeah, it is.
For a third time? Really?
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's disappointing. I mean, he's mentioned the fact that he wanted this Boatsy fight, and it should be him versus Boatsy and not Smith versus Boatsy. I mean, Boatsy refutes it. Who do you believe? I don't know. I think Boatsy would fight Yarde, and I think Yarde would fight Boatsy. I don't think either are ducking. Sometimes it's the people behind them. I'm guessing the plan, and I think Yarde just wanted to get onto a Riyadh season, ring card, fight, whatever. The plan is if Boatsy wins and Yarde wins, they both fight. But I feel like we always wait for these things. And like, as soon as Yarde signed to Boxer, make the fight.
Yeah.
Just make the fight. What's the problem? Just make the fight.
You think
what's going
same
on?
promoters now. And you talk about wanting Yarde. Yarde's a big name in the UK. Literally, what that will do an O2, an OVO at Wembley Arena.
Yeah. But my issue now with both of those guys wanting to fight under a Riyadh season umbrella or ring is you might get lost in a card. Callum Smith-Boatsy looks like it could walk first or walk second. I mean, no disrespect to Yarde Boatsy, but I don't know if Turkey will look at those two as headline act. There is no beef like Eubank Benn, and you can understand why that makes a headline act. You could walk first. So all of a sudden, you've gone from potentially headlining the O2 Arena, and it would have done that.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Right? It brings out the whole hood, that one does, to be in a ring fight, and you are not headline, you're not even chief support, you're somewhere down the card.
Well, we've had fights like Daniel Dubois, Jarrell Miller, that haven't even been near chief support.
There you go.
And listen, that's every bit as big, if not bigger, which is 2 big, rough and tough heavyweights.
Agreed.
And this, if you get him on if they think, right, we want to be on a big Riyadh show, we want to do this, Turkey will oblige. He'll do the fight, he'll put it on, but you don't go complaining when you're looking where you are on the card. Oh, there's 3 fights after us. Yeah, that's how Riyadh season goes. That's how big these cards are.
Indeed. Do you think it sells out the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, this one? Eubank Benn. Feels like a reach. I don't know why. For me, it feels like a reach, man. Like I hear it, and I hear the talk. Don't get me wrong, but it's still 60,000.
It's a big one.
It's a big ask.
It's a big ask. I don't know. I would say, given the fact that, listen, we're looking at this from hardcore eyes. I'm sure there are people up and down the land who hardly ever watch boxing, but they know the names Chris Eubank Jr. They know of Nigel and Chris in the 90s.
Yeah.
They'll see their sons, and they won't care that everything's happened before. They'll be like, I want to watch that fight. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But that's going to be epic. The face-off's going to be epic.
Like I want to make sure I word this correctly. I don't hate doing face-offs. I hate doing face-offs for fights that don't need face-offs.
Yeah.
But I grew up with Max doing them, Max Kellerman, and it was only for the big fights. It only ever felt like the big fights. And then Johnny Nelson did a fantastic job, who I've watched 100,000 times, and it felt like it was only the biggest.
Yeah.
Face-off almost feels like everyone gets a face-off nowadays. I'm like, can we stop doing these face-offs? But for Ben Eubank...
Oh, for Ben Eubank.
Oh, yes, sorry, I'll do that face-off. Because I think they're trying to go the dads to get involved as well. Imagine that.
Oh, no.
Imagine
Nigel and Chris Senior.
Nigel and Chris Senior.
Oh, my God.
It would break face-off record. The face-off would be pay-per-view.
Man, they would have to charge face-off pay-per-view.
It'd be pay-per-view. It'd be like £5. It'd be pay-per-view. It'd be so good. But look, April 26th, that's good. Again, Ryan Garcia is back as well. Devin Haney on another ring card. I heard some random stuff about that. They're trying to like block out Times Square in America and put a ring in the middle of Times Square. Who knows? But it's good for that to be back as well. I do want to talk heavyweights quickly. Obviously, Daniel Dubois is the man of the moment, right? Just frightening. Okay, this is a good question. If Fury isn't retired, let's say this is hypothetical. Fury's not retired. He just lost to Usyk. Is Daniel Dubois now the second best heavyweight
in the world? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
There's no doubt. That's a straight resounding yes.
Yeah, it's not even controversial, is it?
No, it's not even. Like,
I actually said it before Dubois beat AJ. Now he's beating AJ. Surely you're the second best.
He lost to Alexander Usyk, and he's had the best run of any fighter after that.
Yeah, he's beaten two top 10 guys in Hrgovic and AJ. I think AJ at the time of the fight was third or fourth.
Third or fourth.
Yeah, and he beat him.
Hrgovic was number one with the IBF.
Yep.
Even Jarrell Miller, like, you see what he did against Ruiz. I thought he won that fight.
So,
you could say
that makes that look even better.
Yeah, exactly. See, because he's fought 3 top-tier opponents back to back to back.
Yeah.
And now he's going in there with Joseph Parker. And he's the favourite against Joseph Parker as well.
If he knocks off Parker,
man,
that run of, as you say, Usyk, good rounds against Usyk, no shame in losing to Usyk, controversial, some may say, and then stopping Morrell, stopping Hrgovic, stopping AJ, and Parker's not a points fight. Someone's getting stopped.
Someone's getting stopped.
So potentially stopping Parker, that run there.
But you think of it as well. It's not like he went in there with Alexander Usyk, lost a really kind of competitive fight, but he learned a lot and can take a lot from it. Usyk put him down to one knee.
Yeah.
Usyk broke him down.
Yeah.
And you'd look at that and you would just say, oh my God, how do you come back from this?
Yeah.
That's it. What you just said there. He came back from Usyk beating the fight out of him to him going and just beating these heavyweights.
That's actually quite
like
brave and crazy of Frank and Don to say, okay, give us Miller.
Yeah.
That
could have backfired
That's a
spectacularly.
career-ending fight. Like, you lose to Miller, then it's a case of, where is Dubois?
Yeah.
And, I remember in that fight, it got tough. And I remember his dad, who's massive, honestly 6'6" of a man, went to the ring and kind of banged on the ring. And I've literally, Dubois obviously then found a second, third, fourth gear and found a way. The face-off was interesting.
It was.
Between those two. It's only 8 minutes long, which is annoying because it was like 25 minutes. I'm like, why have you cut so much out? Like, even the bits that are boring are quite intriguing.
Yeah, because you get an insight into what's going on.
Body language. Well, I hate when they're always just trying to find these kind of highlight reel bits. I want to see the whole thing.
Yeah, because that's the interesting part. Like, I mean, even when it's not, we've seen the 7-8 minutes, and yeah, it was interesting, but like, it's those little finite moments.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I guarantee you, if it had happened today, when Tyson Fury brought up that sauna moment with Vladimir Klitschko, because it wasn't really, handbags at the ready.
That'd have been cut out.
But that was so crucial to that fight, because that was literally the moment where Fury broke Vladimir Klitschko.
It's a great shot. Honestly, it's a great shot, because there were times in that face-off where Daniel Dubois' head's down, he's not interested. Joseph says something. It's only a glimpse. It's only a little look, but Dubois kind of looks at him and puts his head down. Little things.
Exactly,
and I picked him up. I was like, whoa, here we go.
Exactly. Little
and
things
just
like
cut
that.
It out. And I'm like, why have you guys cut it out? So I've been begging them to release the full thing, but I don't have that much power at the zone.
Not yet.
Not yet. It's true. Not yet. Who knows, right? Who wins that fight? Who's your money on?
Dubois by knockout.
Yeah.
By knockout. He's not going to points. Listen, I'm not a betting man. But I'm telling you now, you do not want to put money on points. Someone's getting knocked out.
Yeah, Dubois goes for the kill. Dubois is so refreshing. Dubois is not trying to jab. Dubois is trying to throw that right hand with the meanest of intentions straight away.
Black gloves, black boots, black shorts.
How crazy was that, by the way? That black thing. I feel like he's always done that, but I feel like I noticed it more against AJ.
Yep.
I was like, my God. AJ came in, I think, white.
Yep.
And Dubois came in all black. I was like, oh my God.
And when you seen him walk to that ring, that flipping intensity, you were like,
was
oh
frightening.
my God.
Honestly, it was actually, it was frightening. And I mean, as an AJ fan, I was frightened for AJ. I was like, oh my God. Like, and then when AJ was on the back foot, I was like, this is over.
You're kind of almost glad AJ did go to the ring second, because if he'd seen that coming towards him,
Dude.
man, he would have cracked in that first round even earlier than he did.
Honestly, I don't think people give that win enough credit.
Man,
Like, to fight AJ in front of 90-odd thousand, and everyone's questioned your IBF title status, and AJ's already planning to fight a Fury or Usyk, and for you to come in and dominate him. AJ won 20 seconds of that fight.
That's it.
That's it, 20 seconds. And the good thing for Dubois is that he took AJ's shot. Went on the back foot and then thought, this is the only way we're going one way here, and this is the way.
He took that. AJ taught him in for the kill, and he ended up getting killed.
It did. Who does he fight next then? Would you like to see, and this is not overlooking Parker, because I think Parker's going to put up a really good performance.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But if he were to beat Parker, do you go Usyk next, or because we've seen it already, do you try something else? Do you see what Bakoli and Ajagba do?
It's a weird one, because I thought Usyk would retire after the Fury fight.
Same.
I really did think that's him.
I thought he might put his gloves down in the ring and say, I've done it. I'm undisputed. I beat you twice. I beat AJ. I'm one of the greatest ever.
I was literally expecting a goodbye. When you went to interview him after that fight, I was expecting that's it. And it's almost like maybe he was until Dubois interrupted him.
No, I think the money. I think
the money, really?
Yeah, I think, you know what it is? This isn't your average. This isn't 10 or 15 million.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? This is now generational money. I can only speculate about what he's got paid, but the money that he would have got paid for Fury 1 and Fury 2, I'm guessing it's over 150 million. I'm guessing it's over 150. So he's probably thinking, this is the wrong time to retire.
But where do you get the, like, you get that much and you're thinking, do I really need to do this anymore?
Yeah, you're probably thinking, you know when you get your first paycheck, it's like you buy a house.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the second paycheck, you buy the street. He's not probably thinking, I could buy a country.
I was going to say.
Like, I could buy a whole forest and build for my people. But I want to see him retire. I do wonder if, and maybe it was a good thing that he didn't immediately do it, because fighters that seem to immediately retire change their mind.
Yeah, they
and
do.
Come back. I think Josh
Tyson
Warrington's
Fury.
a good example. Tyson Fury. Josh Warrington put his gloves down.
I mean, that was a slam dunk.
And now all of a sudden he's talking about coming back. Although I'm hearing Kakache versus Lee Wood's close to being done on a Queensbury card. Yeah, Lee Wood is now part of Queensbury, I'm hearing, so, which is very interesting.
The zone show incoming.
Yeah, indeed. All right, let's wrap up by talking about the two big boys. The two big boys being Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. I've not ever asked your opinion about Tyson Fury in that retirement announcement. Did you have any stock into it? Believe it? No.
The boy who cried wolf.
Aye.
This is his 5th or 6th retirement.
It is. Someone put a video together of it. Yeah,
literally. Yeah. You've seen a combination video. It's like, look, there will come a time when Fury will retire. And do you know what I'm going to say? When he does really retire, I don't think me, you, anyone is going to doubt it. I think when he finally does really announce that's me.
Not from a car. Not from a car. Yeah, like a proper.
I think it's a proper sit down retirement.
Agreed.
I think when he finally does do it, there's going to be no doubt in anyone's mind. Whereas a little random as hell on a Monday afternoon, hi, I'm retired. No, you're not.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. And he deserves the sit down, like the cameras, being interviewed by someone, belts behind him, a video wall of his accolades, and him saying it's been a great run. I think he deserves that, because I think Fury, and I know he has his detractors, as does every boxer, because he does chat a bit of shit sometimes. But I've been fortunate enough to interview him, and I'm telling you, he's fantastic. The gold he gives you, even when he's in a mood. That he was in a mood in Saudi, clearly didn't want to talk to me. Didn't want to talk to anyone, but he still even gave gold. He looked at the camera, right down the barrel, I'm going to fuck him up. I was like, what?
You're like,
he
yes.
sings in the press. I've been to hundreds of these press conferences about Tyson Fury. They're so dull.
An interviewer's dream.
Yeah, like him and Chisora. Like, Chisora's going to call it quits soon. They're gold at presses. Like, even AJ's not great at presses. They're so boring, some of these people. So I think Fury's been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
As I said, when he does bow out, we'll know all about it. And I think it will be one of those occasions where you'll stop, you'll reflect, you'll look at his career, and look, we will miss him when he's gone. Because at the end of the day, whether you love him or hate him, and look, a lot of us don't agree with some of the things he said in the past, but goddamn, he gives people entertainment in the ring and outside the ring. Yeah,
I think he's slightly hurt. I remember interviewing AJ after he lost to Usyk the second time round, and it broke AJ. I could see it and hear it in his voice. And I do wonder, although Fury is a bit more braggadocious, if you like, I do wonder how painful those 2 defeats to Usyk. It's almost like knowing I've given everything in
That's what I was
camp,
going to say.
and I can't beat this guy.
It's not like... you'd almost rather get caught with a lucky shot.
Yeah.
Because you're like, right, I know I'm the better guy.
Yeah.
I was winning that fight. I know I'm better. Twice I've tried my best. I've literally left no stone unturned.
And I can't
spent
beat
time
him.
away from my family, did everything. And I can't beat this guy.
I think that's AJ
gotta
as well.
hurt.
I think AJ ticked every box in training. You know when you eat everything. You've ticked all the box: running, swimming, sparring,
Things you don't want to be doing. Things
all
you'd
that
rather not
crap.
be doing.
Yeah, all that crap, and you still can't do it.
Yeah, you still
so I think
can't do it.
that hurts Fury. All right, finally, let's wrap AJ. Mr. I don't know, British boxing for the last decade or so is no longer that guy in terms of where you see him in rankings or whatever.
Nope.
Still that guy in terms of bums on seats. I still think AJ can do good numbers. Do think he needs a good dance partner though. I don't think it's a case of him fighting me or you and selling out Wembley Stadium anymore. It doesn't work like that. What does he do next? Now Fury's retired, so he says. If Fury has retired, I personally still think Fury's going to fight AJ in the summer.
So do I.
But if Fury doesn't fight AJ doesn't fight Fury, who would you like to see AJ fight?
I know you're not going to like this, but I'm
Say
going
it.
to say it anyway. If I was Eddie Hearn, I would be on that phone this very minute to Dylan White for a date in London. I know. But I would be. Listen, right? AJ, in his 2 losses to Usyk, he gave as good as he could. He was outboxed.
Yeah.
Against Ruiz, he was winning the first couple of rounds. He dropped Ruiz. Against Dubois, he just got blown out with the water.
Okay.
He needs a good demolition job type fight. Dylan White, did you see him against Tete?
Yeah.
Man, he's not beating any top heavyweight. He's not beating anyone.
Okay, then if that's the case, what does he get from beating Dylan White then? If he needs
Confidence.
what is it? Oh, okay.
Confidence. I can go in and be devastating.
I thought that. Bear in mind the way in which he blew out Otto Volin. And then he knocked out Ngannou with the best right hand I've ever seen in my life. We didn't see any of that confidence against Dubois. I still think AJ knows when he's in there with the real deal, he knows. When he's in there with people that are not great, he knows. This is a guy that's been boxing now for half of his life. I think he knows. So I think even if he does go in there and knock over Dillian White, I think if he still then gets in the ring with a Bacoli or a Dubois again, I still think there might be problems. So I'd rather see him go in there and be tested, and let's see what you've got.
Almost like what Frank did with Dubois. You lose to
Perfect
Usyk,
example.
go straight in with Miller.
So he lost against Usyk. Some people say he quit again, right? Frank could have said, okay, let's give him someone outside the top 20 just because we want to see him knock out someone. They put him in there with someone 100 pounds bigger who's unbeaten. No. Listen,
I know.
do you
Just when you hear it like that, it's
look
like,
what's
holy
happened to
crap.
Dubois.
And yeah, he
Look
went
what's
from
happened to
strength
Dubois.
to strength. Probably the best thing that ever happened to him was that Jarrell Miller fight.
Yeah.
Because that made him, I guarantee you that fight, he still went into that with some doubts in his mind.
Of course he did.
And that was it. It was
And he
like,
got
I
hit.
came through it.
He got hit and
I did
came
it.
through it. Look at Joseph Parker. We all thought Joseph Parker was done. After Joe Joyce. Look at his 2 fights he's had recently, Wilder and Zhang.
And he come off the canvas.
And all of a sudden now, Parker's a top 5 heavyweight. I feel like if AJ at this stage wants to have those kind of gimme fights, I just don't know if you get anything. I don't know if AJ gets the confidence that we think he does by knocking over a Dillian White. That's my thing.
Right, but you see, all right, so where's the final? Where's the Jarrell Miller for Anthony Joshua then? Because that's what Frank did.
No. You just said it.
The Dylan White.
No. You just said it.
Jarrell Miller.
Why not? You said, where's the Jarrell Miller? Well, Jarrell Miller, he's right there. Why not do AJ Jarrell Miller? I'm more intrigued about that one. People keep saying about AJ and Dillian White have history. AJ and Jarrell Miller have
We've
history.
still never seen those face-offs.
AJ and Dillian White can be in a room and not kick off. They're almost a bit, cordial. AJ and Miller cannot be in the same room.
The angriest I ever seen Anthony Joshua was when, I forget who was interviewing, but when Jarrell Miller mentioned his mum, and the interviewer said that to Joshua, he literally, for the rest of that interview, could not gather his thoughts. He was so angry.
I'm telling you, they despise each other. And Jarrell Miller's coming off, I think, a good win against Ruiz.
Do you remember the day of reckoning kickoff press conference and JJ's
Of course I do.
Straight away,
Of course I do.
AJ's
It's supposed to be Jarrell Miller going at Dubois, and all of a sudden Jarrell Miller goes at AJ. I think that's the fight.
That's actually a good shout.
I think you said, well, the Jarrell Miller.
That's a name I never even thought of.
I think that's a great fight.
That's a great shout.
That would do good numbers.
Oh, man.
That would do good
That's
numbers.
another face-off where,
Face-off would do
pay-per-view in
incredible
of
numbers.
itself.
I'm telling you, I just feel like there's a bit more in that. I wanted to see Dylan look a bit better against Ebenezer Tete. So, and it was horrendous, let's be honest. And Jarrell Miller, I think, beat Andy Ruiz.
Oh, he did beat Andy Ruiz.
So one's coming off an Andy
absolutely did.
Ruiz, LA, big show. One's coming off Ebenezer Tete in Gibraltar. I mean, that's what I want. That's what I want. I mean,
Maybe you
aside
nailed
from
it.
that, Bacoli in Africa.
Bacoli in Africa would be epic.
Dude, it would be
that
it
would
be the
be.
biggest thing.
I think you said it best. You were like, that is like a rumble in the jungle.
It's rumble in the jungle.
You would have like the people in the street, everything. It would be
Dude,
absolutely
people would
amazing.
lie in the streets. People would, honestly, I can't explain. It's difficult to explain to people that have not been to Nigeria or to Ghana to understand the traffic and the flow and the music and the food and the noise and the sound and just how it works over there. It would be insane. You got Bacoli from Congo, who's now viewed as this kind of African champion. You got AJ, African heritage. Africa needs a big event.
It deserves
Africa
one.
have not had one since
Lewis Rackman.
Carnival City in South Africa, and some people view South Africa as not part. It's stupid, obviously. It's
Yeah,
Africa,
it is.
but I know what you mean. I know what people mean. So that was what? When was Carnival City? When was that?
20 odd years ago, 2001.
There you
24 years ago.
There you go. Why can't Africa have a big event when it's got so many African fighters? Boatsy versus Yarde on it as well. Boatsy Ghanaian. Terence Crawford is definitely African. Put him on against someone.
So many people dying
Lawrence
to see.
Okoli, Richard
Derek
Riakpo,
Chisora wants
Derek
to have his
Chisora.
last fight in Africa, in
Come on.
Zimbabwe. Come on, they
dude.
need it.
Yeah, they want to do Chisora and Ngannou.
That-
Chisora and Ngannou on the card.
Why not?
I mean, come on. Come on.
No,
Let's do it.
it has to.
Let's do it. Look, G-Man, me and you could talk for hours.
It feels like we could go for days on end.
And, quite easily.
And never stop. It just goes into one other
Yeah,
subject.
because I feel like I could go on for so much longer. But look, this is our new series. I'm going to go to the camera here. Guys, I don't actually have a name for it yet. Feel free in the comment section to think of a name for this show. By the time you actually say that, I probably would have had a name. But me and G-Man are going to be doing this hopefully every single week because there is so much to talk about. And you guys know there's no one I like talking to about boxing more than this man because we agree, we disagree. But one thing we do is share a love for the best sport in the world, and that sport is boxing. So we are here. You asked for it. I'm giving it to you. Thank you very much. Hit that subscribe button. G-Man's YouTube channel will be in the link as well. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. Loads more content, loads more ideas coming your way. G-Man, thank you, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers.